Okay, we are live. Hi, everyone. Hi, Linda. I hope you're well. So we're just going to give a minute, um, see who is on the stream. I have the comments. Okay, so it is always nice to have all of you with, but today we've got Big Amish with us again, so we're so lucky. And he is actually, I'm going to play a little bit of a video that he's done, and then also we have the roadmap to what Ann Taylor is doing. So, hi, Big Amish, how are you?
Hello, Wendy. I'm doing well. How about you? And thank you for having me again.
Well, it's good to have you. Um, I think nobody has pretty much seen what you have and what you've worked out. So maybe this roadmap to disclosure. Do you want to tell us a little bit about it? I'm not going to play it now, but you can
Right.
tell us a little bit about Ann Taylor and the defense strategy, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Well, everyone was talking about, and we have as well. We're wondering, why is Brent Turvey coming out, Mr. Wickham with
Mm-hmm.
his book, and anything else? And this is not a coincidence. It's either a
No.
plan of some sort, right? And so we're either going to think, is it a plan to show Ann Taylor's incompetence or her brilliance? And I say it's her brilliance. Okay, and I'll tell you why. Because, and I'll just give you the long and short of it from here, is she's
Mm-hmm.
planning on filing a there's going to be a post conviction relief filing that's going to occur, and I think the deadline is in September. I think.
I believe it's the 2nd of September. So everybody's waiting for that.
Right.
And but what I wanted to ask you is, uh,
Well,
before we go on, I've heard a lot of people saying that this may not happen in September. Because everybody's waiting for the 2nd of September.
right.
But that post conviction relief might not necessarily happen on the 2nd. Would
Well,
that be correct in saying that?
it could, but let me give the roadmap a little bit, and then you'll understand why it may be delayed, or how this has to work. Why I believe there will be a PCR filing, ineffective
Mhm.
assistance of counsel. Obviously, it would be against Dan Taylor, but it's not that. And I'll explain. You need a jurisdictional anchor. And what I mean by that is Whitcomb and Turvey have brought up evidence, right, may or may not have been leaked. Okay.
Mhm.
If it has been leaked by private parties, it kind of protects Ann Taylor. If it's if it's Turvey and Wickham and the like, it's a separate issue of violating ethics than an attorney violating something, which she could get bar complaints, and I'm sure there are, and they're investigating it. The importance of that is that they are really looking to open up discovery. You need a motion, you need a PCR in place to seek some post conviction relief in the form of motions. She needs a discovery fight. She's going to file a motion to obtain the rest of the evidence that's been concealed,
Mhm.
and leverage that. And you have to show good cause. So when I say she and Taylor, I'm assuming you need a ineffective assistance counsel filing. So there'll be another attorney involved. But there will be post judgment relief. Once you have that on file, you could then say why. Why do you need this evidence? And the evidence would be to support the ineffective assistance of counsel. So there's two parts of this equation.
Mhm.
One is a filing for ineffective assistance of counsel, and then you're going to buttress that by saying, Your Honor, there's going to be a filing then for motions for discovery, post conviction discovery, And that's under, I think, Idaho Rule of Civil Procedure or Criminal Procedure 194907, I think it is. Or well, anyway, the Idaho rules would apply, and you have to show good cause.
Okay. Do you want me to open this roadmap and share
Yeah,
it? Okay.
sure. And we
Open
could
that.
go through that, and then maybe the video. Yeah, perhaps that would be best to do that way.
Do you want me to do the video first?
Um, um, no, maybe you should do that short little. If you're able to do that PDF, that way people could see, and we could go through it by page, and then the larger video would make sense as well.
Okay, guys, you can all see this. I'm hoping. Let me. Let's do this. I don't know if can you see it on the screen? Can everyone see it on the screen?
I see just the first page. Yeah.
Okay, so we're going. So this is the roadmap to disclosure, post-conviction strategy and forensic discovery 2026. Okay, let's go to the next one.
Right. So here we're going to analyze the disclosures, right? Obviously, in the broken plea, he suggested there was a problem with the paper logs and the automated metadata and the trails, right? There was a problem with that. And so that's all been documented. So this lays the groundwork. So he's basically disclosing like a whistleblower, almost like a whistleblower, but it's necessary because whatever's going to be filed has to use this and say, well, how did you get this information? Well, the fact that it's out in the public requires the rest of the information to be made public, because if part is already disclosed and the rest of it needs to be disclosed in order to protect the rights of BK. You see what they did? It's kind of like setting a trap. So they threw out these disclosures, whether or not there's ethics violations and the like, it doesn't matter. The fact is it's out in the public now, which will anchor into an ineffective assistance of counsel argument. So either Ann Taylor's right, or the experts are right, or the book writer's right. But regardless, it will protect BK's rights. That's the important thing to understand, is how these arguments all play to the benefit of Brian Kohberger having that plea removed and vacated. Okay, so this is the metadata. I think we're all pretty much familiar with it. You talked about.
This is obviously what you're talking about. This would involve laboratory tests, data, any logs that were handwritten or.
Yeah, the signatures that, remember the signature all aligned the same. Even Turvey commented on it when they were logging in the evidence. It looked like one person signed off for 4 individuals in handling the evidence. So the importance of that is we don't know the answer to that. There could be a explanation that's satisfactory, but what this is doing is it creates the hook in order to get the rest of that information out in the public so they could be filed and you could seek PCR. Okay. But you need a motion for discovery for that, but you need the PCR to request that motion, because you need a basis for post-conviction discovery. What is it going to be? If you have the post-conviction relief filed for ineffective assistance of counsel, could be other things too. But I'm just saying you need PCR to get this. Maybe you could do it with habeas corpus as well. But it's a two-prong attack. You need to raise an issue on, basically why Ann Taylor was ineffective. And you bring up these discovery or evidence inconsistencies that violate the rights of Brian Kohlberger, in which now, since they've been made public, demands the court in equity and fairness to now allow and produce the full logs and get discovery regarding who signed it, how was it done, all the minute detail that goes into the chain of custody, and also with Othram Labs, for example, the touch DNA on the
Yes,
buckle.
we haven't seen any of that.
Yeah, so we don't know that, and I'm assuming Ann Taylor doesn't know that. But now, if it's made in public, or if if since this was brought up in public, in a public forum, you have released information that's never been seen before, it begs the question. You can't just give part of it in order to protect BK's right to confront the evidence against him, right? And to give a knowing, willing, and intelligent waiver in accepting that plea. You need all the evidence. For even Miss Goncalves, for example, said she was ambushed with discovery. She got information regarding the signature marks days before the plea or whatever it was. I'm going to assume that that information also applies to BK. He didn't have an opportunity to look at that information, but going back to the roadmap, the legal roadmap, and again, this is
the next page. Or do you want to go over what Christopher Whitcomb said?
Well, sure. Well, you want to go over that? You want me to read it? You want to read that? So Christopher Whitcomb alleges identical signature profiles across 4 disparate months. That's when they were handling the discovery. Discovery targets the state's internal audit records to expose this chronological manufacturing. So
let me go to the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember he did speak about that. How many signatures were used by the same person?
I think there were 4.
4?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, again, there could be an explanation, but we shouldn't you shouldn't have to guess. And BK shouldn't also have to guess if he's giving up his rights and accepting 4 life sentences.
Is it not strange that they wouldn't have shown him all of this before he took the plea?
That is strange, but there could be reasons for it.
Okay. What would be the reasons for not showing him?
One, if he's relying on his counsel based on time limitations, there could be something that BK wanted to do. He wanted to take a plea as quickly as possible. He felt threatened. He just wanted this over for numerous reasons. His family's safety, his safety, others' safety. And I won't get into my other theories as well, but there's numerous reasons. You're reducing the death penalty. If that was the carrot, for example, if you said, well, he accepted it because they took off the death penalty phase. Well, that could also be one thing, but I just don't see how the death penalty phase would have been even applicable once we all know the true evidence, what we're seeing. Again, we don't know the full picture that's behind the scenes, right? We don't know what evidence.
Welcome to get into your other theory regarding what you think. Yeah, there are several theories as to why somebody would take a guilty plea so far. So you can share yours.
Well, in just a general sense, whether BK, in my opinion, he's involved in some federal operation. He's in a WITSEC program. He's being protected, most likely, and because of what he knows. Maybe it involves white supremacist gangs, involving because they would be the enforcers for cartels. I believe it involves national security. Cartels and white supremacist gangs and hate crimes fall under that national security apparatus, or even close to it. It all depends on how channel the information. But if and BK could also be doing this to protect others that he's involved in a federal operation. It could still be going on. We know that federal grand jury subpoenas were issued in the case. We know that for a fact, right? And federal grand juries could only operate lawfully under a federal court, which means there was a parallel proceeding. Now, a grand jury could be investigative, right, in which you issue subpoenas, but it also could indict, and there could be sealed indictments against individuals. And that could be still sealed. We wouldn't know about it. And these indictments involving cartel members or others members that they want that are sealed for purposes of timing and or protection of certain people who are still involved in the operation. They're so close
And
to
it doesn't have to necessarily be a cartel. It could be anything. It could be trafficking. It could be.
Yes, trafficking also falls on 100%, and I found some very interesting information about trafficking. I will not go into that because but I did find some more
I
information.
did find some, so we will talk about
Yeah.
that because I also looked into some things that point to that. There was something very relevant to what Dylan said regarding her watching Vampire Diaries, and I managed to look into the significance of that, and it's quite interesting. But we'll leave that for another video.
But it is
organ,
interesting. You're 100% right.
yeah, it's just very odd that she mentioned that, and there's a whole community of that in Idaho. So it's that organs.
Yeah.
So when we say
selling of organs.
cartels, it could be anything. We just don't know what it is.
Right. But it would involve something along those lines, and it could involve all of them. Cartels just don't operate in transacting a product.
Oh no.
They're a business, so their product could be multiple. They could be doing rugs, right? But they also could be involved in human trafficking, which I think they are as well. But yes, it goes to a larger scale once you involve the human trafficking aspect, which is second, I think, but it's certainly increasing. And it's $1 billion industry, sadly. So you're 100% right.
It is. That's true. So okay, let's go next to this. The laboratory information management system. That was the next one you put on.
Sure. So regarding the forensic evidence, it gets captured, right? So you're going to ask for an electronic audit. So with the accuracy of the transaction that's logged in for every file, you're going to have all the information: who logged it in, who had access to it, the timing of it. So all that is going to be available in a post conviction discovery request that would follow a PCR. The hard links, all data updates to specific analyst credentials. So it's tying whoever has access or is uploading data, it's going to attach it to the person, the analyst, and their credentials. You're going to know who they are, what their background is. Are they involved? You could find out. I mean, their credentials. Are they even qualified to be analyzing this data? We don't know because that has been hidden. But all that's relevant to BK's ability to give a knowing, willing, and voluntary waiver of his rights in accepting a plea. That's why this is critical, right? And then you have the verification, right? And you have the verification.
Very much so.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think people could see that and and then the barcodes. It verifies the barcodes where it was generated in real time, or if it was backdated.
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I think on those 4, it was done after the fact, after the 4 people handled the evidence. Someone did it after they handled it and entered their names to handling it. So is it all backdated? Some of it backdated? We know that just from a writing standpoint, filling in the evidence, the paper
Mm-hmm.
trail has issues with it. We're now raising the digital footprint having problems. That is what's
It
not been
does seem
disclosed.
like that. It does seem like that. Like Lucy said, Payne had the sheath in his possession for over 8 hours the night of the 14th. Just sorry to cut you off, Big Amish.
Yeah.
We did speak about something. If anybody in the chat knows, did Brett Payne have a locker? I think it was a meat locker. Um, I did see that somewhere.
I'm sorry. He had a locker. Is that what you're saying within the evidence room?
Yeah, he had. I just heard that he owned a locker. I don't know if it's relevant to that, but
Yeah.
he basically, I mean, he had the sheath because there was a problem with the chain of custody of that sheath. So it
Yes.
was in his possession for over 8 hours. I do remember that. Um, I did talk about it in a very, very early video last year where I think he couldn't store the sheath, so he kept it with him, and that is problematic.
It is problematic, but it's explainable. Now that goes to the weight of and the issue of the chain of custody. Is that proper? How does the affect if he's saying he watched it, basically it was next to him in a box. I don't know the full details of it. But all that gets to be you have to either explain it and it passes the muster of the chain of custody, meaning okay, or it gets litigated. But it's certainly something that BK needs to know in order to waive his rights.
Hmm.
And just so everyone knows as well, I raised the issue of the roadmap for on how this is going to get exposed, and that is you need post conviction discovery, and it's going to involve digital evidence, forensic. It's going to use all evidence that's missing. You're going to expose everything that's been publicly made right now, and whatever it touches on, right? The buckle. So you have forensics, you have digital regarding the labs as well, and how they enter stuff in the systems. All that is going to be coming out. The barcodes, all that gets answered, but you need an anchor, a jurisdictional anchor. You can't just ask for post conviction discovery without a reason why. And
Hmm.
okay, now we also had a recent Supreme Court case, but which also assists the BK's post conviction rights, because they basically created a larger standard for miscarriage of justice, allowing pleas to be re examined, basically. So if you took a plea and if it reaches this new standard for miscarriage of justice, you could basically vacate that plea. But
Where did
we'll
that
get
happen? Okay,
what,
let's go to this. Or
yeah.
you want to talk about that, or do you want to go to the next one?
Yeah, let's go to the slide because it'll talk about it as we go along.
Okay,
So,
okay.
all right. So here's the first phase. So under Idaho, I'm tongue tied to. Oh, I'm sorry. Idaho Code 19-4901, initiating the Uniform Post Conviction Procedures Act to ground the challenge. Right? You need that. You need jurisdiction because you're going to ask Judge Hippler now. We need post conviction discovery, but why? So ineffective assistance to counsel. Either you're blaming counsel or there's problems with the experts and the author of the book having access to classified information, sealed information, and now it begs the question that we need the rest of the information because it's already transparent that it affects BK's rights to accept a
Mhm.
knowing, willing, and voluntary plea. That's why. So ineffective
And just
assist.
to your point on that, we did speak about it in a previous live, everyone, that he would have had to have had a clearance, security clearance, to have access to that information.
Yes, and we talked about it because he was a FBI special agent. By definition, Mr. Wickham had a top secret security clearance. He was also involved, to my knowledge, um, he was involved in hostage rescue. He was like a sniper in hostage rescue. I forgot the full name of, but he was involved in Ruby Ridge in Waco, I believe.
Mhm. Yes.
So he's an experienced individual who has knowledge and works with classified information. Now, if he left the FBI, it doesn't mean you give up your security clearance. And a lot of times, these former agents go into the intelligence apparatus. And we know from Operation Mockingbird, you could use reporters and journalists to conduct propaganda on behalf of the intelligence community, allegedly for the best interest of the country. So,
Yeah, so just for anyone, he joined the FBI as a special agent in 1987.
uh, yeah.
So
So he left. Yeah, he left. He left the. Yeah, he left the FBI. I mean, he's been gone from the FBI. We're talking about he's been in
yeah,
the private field. He's in the intelligence community. He has nothing to do with the FBI anymore. However, the intelligence community can use him. He's a private actor, but he could contract specifically with the intelligence community to carry out different functions. Okay, that's something we won't know exactly because he's
okay,
not going
this
to
is
show us.
very interesting what Lucy says. He left the FBI 11th of September 2001. Is this true?
I don't know, but
Wow.
it makes sense. Maybe I don't know. I don't know the answer to
What
that question.
dates? Okay.
Uh,
Okay, sorry, keep going on.
yeah,
I'll just have a
no,
check here when you left.
yeah. So he left the FBI. Now he's a private citizen, allegedly, but he could still conduct. He could be what's called a special contractor with the intelligence community. They would He would have a specific contract with the intelligence community to do specific work. Now that could be many things. It could be domestically, internationally, because he was doing security. I think he was doing a lot of things. So he did things externally as well,
Mhm.
outside the United
Yeah.
States. So he has the ability, and as a private contractor, he is not technically someone who would. It's like, for example, the CIA technically cannot operate within the United States. They have to outside the United States. That's their jurisdiction. However, we know this by many facts and many instances that if they contract with somebody, they're not that individual is not considered a CIA agent and therefore is not restricted in the same way that the CIA agents are. So you could contract with somebody who is operating within the United States to get specific intel. We don't have to get into exact type of conduct, and I don't, but I'm just saying there's workarounds for everything. You could embed people, for example, uh, within the FBI who are or CIA assets, for example, conducting in the United States. The reason being is because they would fall under a support role. They're not active agents, but as in support roles, they could do various things. People don't
Mhm.
understand that. Okay, so I don't want to get into all that, but the point is there's workarounds on jurisdiction, whether it's the FBI, the CIA, and now we're talking about the case, the work around the jurisdiction. How do you get this discovery? How do you expose what is being hidden within that system? Whether it's the federal system and the Idaho State Police system, you're going to find a conflict. That's what I believe. You're going to find a conflict between evidence, how it was obtained, signatures, backcoding, whatever it is, the digital footprints. You're going to find that if they allow it. but you're certainly going to find a smoking gun, and you're certainly going to have the opportunity, if it's filed correctly, as I'm going to lay out in the roadmap, that
Mhm.
that discovery that you're going to request to Judge Hippler will have a foundation, and a proper foundation, and it'll be based on good cause to get that information. Because at the end of the day, how does BK give a knowing, willing, and voluntary waiver of his rights and accept a plea if all this information that we know in part and the rest of it we don't know? And if we don't know it, and Turvey doesn't know it, and Wickham doesn't know it, BK doesn't know it, and Taylor doesn't know it. So that's how it's gonna get exposed, and how the post conviction relief is going to assist in getting that discovery, or it's going to put a lot of pressure on the federal government and the Idaho State Police and state of Idaho, for that matter, on why they can't produce that information if it involves sensitive information or national security. It's gonna create a lot of friction between the two sovereigns. You see what's happening? You see how brilliant Ann Taylor, in my opinion, what's happening here is creating a massive friction between the federal and state sovereigns as it relates to the evidence in this matter. Does that make sense?
It makes complete sense.
Okay. And just to keep going on with it, so the structural concealment, claiming the 2025 plea was not knowing or voluntary due to state fraud, and that's where the concealment comes in, right? And we talked, and now constitutional deficit, establishing that hidden irregularities fundamentally poisoned the proceedings, because it's not just irregular. We're not talking about an immaterial issue. We're talking about material issues that go to the innocence or culpability of Brian Koberger. And we don't have any of that. It's so irregular. There's so many irregularities here that just the irregularities alone raises a question of fundamental fairness.
That's true.
So, if you want to go to the
Okay,
next
so
slide.
let's go to the next one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
That one was the next one
yeah,
under
and we,
Idaho Code 19. Oh no, you read it.
sure. Yeah, and this is what we were talking about. Under Idaho Code 19-4907, discovery is not automatic. The defense must demonstrate good cause using factual allegations of lab anomalies, which we discussed.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that's one thing. And then we have the subpoena ducis tecum, which is for documents utilizing Idaho rules of civil procedure, but basically the same. Even though I'm citing a civil procedure, it's basically going to have a right to issue a subpoena ducis tecum to get that information in whatever
Okay.
they have in written form. Then we have the discovery targets. What are you going to target to get information to support the issue of knowing, voluntary, and willful waivers? And by not having the information, the irregularities, you have server metadata, the logs tracking the digital interaction with DNA profile since 2022. You're going to get all that. That's how they're going to expose it. The barcode generation, verification of the exact system creation stamps for evidence tags relative to logs. Right? And I think Turvey talked about the barcodes as well. And then you have the batch analytics, records of reagent preparation to invalidate synthesized test sequences. So I believe remember the initial buckle had a test and it was invalidated.
Yes.
And then they went back to it. There were two bases for it. I apologize, but it was invalidated and they had to go back to do it. So all this, in order for you to waive your rights, you have to know if there are defects irregularities, anomalies to defend here
If
at
I
the
recall
essence.
correctly, they did, I think it was the January. So when they did the arrest, they did it, and then they had to go back in the January. Just somebody correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I did hear that as well.
Yeah, I think that's right. Procedurally, I'm just trying to. I've been more focused on the on the legal stuff, but yeah, the timing obviously. But to the extent what I
They did
put
another
together.
test, I believe,
Yeah.
as I
You're right.
recall,
They did.
because
They
it
did.
didn't, there
Yeah.
wasn't a match,
Yeah. No, it
and
was
they
not a
had to go,
match.
there wasn't a match to anything, and they had to go back and redo it. So if I'm mistaken, but as far as I know, it was the January that they had to redo that.
Yep, absolutely. So
Okay, so
and
let's
now
go to the next one.
so now it's the Brady disclosure duty. So now by raising all this, right? What does it do? It requires, is there information, right, that the government has, specifically the Idaho State Police? And I'm focusing on that because Judge Hippler did not allow Ann Taylor, or did not find the federal government had a duty, because he considered the federal government's involvement in issuing subpoenas as supplementary, supportive. And he found that the ISP and the state of Idaho independently obtained information. So you could have the feds doing something, but as long as the state of Idaho finds the same information independently, you're not going to get into the federal, you're not going to bring in the federal government having a duty to give information other than maybe summaries that they provided. So I hope I'm kind of clear on that. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And that's what the whole fight was back on those February 19th orders, in which the judge expressed that Hippler
Hmm.
in finding that we're not going to, hold the federal government having these duties of disclosure, let alone, because that would have destroyed the case right then and there, because the feds then would have opened up the door on what they conducted, how they conducted. This is a back way of doing it. So Hippler closed the door on Ann Taylor, but Ann Taylor did not, under any circumstances, give up. She knew exactly how to lay the breadcrumbs down in order to circumvent that failure by Judge Hippler to benefit her client, I believe. And that's what we're seeing now. And
Hmm.
others probably assisting Ann Taylor as well. So the failure to disclose metadata indicating manufactured signatures constitutes a textbook Brady versus Maryland violation, right? And you could see that little formula. You have exculpatory material that's being suppressed. And is it prejudicial? Is it prejudicial? So, is it exculpatory? Is it prejudicial? Would have made a change? Well, we don't know that until you get the evidence. But you can argue that the defects that we're already seeing, the irregularities, support that you can't give a knowing, willing, and voluntary waiver unless you have that information. And it's already being exposed. And the rest of the information is required just in a basis of fairness and the requirement of the disclosure under Brady. So,
Yes.
so internal audit trails are inherently material. They strike at the heart of the poisoned evidence chain, linking the defendant to the crime. I think that's clear. It's clear to everyone, right?
Yeah.
If you
It,
don't
it,
have the audit trail, which is a chain of custody as well, but if you don't have the internal audit trails, how in the world could you find that there's the chain of custody is in place, that it's not been tampered with? You can't. And that's going to go to this is all exposing a federal component that the ISP doesn't want to get into. So that's why there's an internal fight between ISP and the feds, because this is going to get exposed potentially.
yeah, I really hope so.
Well,
Okay, do you want me to go to the next one?
yes, yeah. Go to the next one if you don't mind.
Okay.
Okay, the Hunter precedent. This is the Supreme Court ruling that just happened a couple of days ago. 8-1 ruling, Hunter v. United States. This landmark ruling creates the definitive lockpick, holding that the plea bargain waivers are completely unenforceable if they work a miscarriage of justice, which we talked about. And clearly, not having that information, right? And we could listen, but the information regarding these signature marks, the audit trails, the barcodes, all of that, how the expansion of the touch DNA, all of that involving feds and the state. Now you're exposing two sovereigns being involved, each one probably pointing the finger at the other, which is great for
Mhm.
BK and their defense team on. So this is perfect. But this certainly applies in this case. So you have now another basis under the United States Supreme Court, separate and apart from what we're talking about, ineffective assistance of counsel and or a habeas petition. You could do that, and we have to see, you have to really look into the application of it. But certainly this now provides a new standard on attacking that plea. What do you think?
I think they need to give it, definitely they need to release that information for sure.
Yeah. And just don't forget, this Supreme Court case just happened. So this is brand new. So basically, it allows the removal, the vacating of a plea if there's a miscarriage of justice. So that's a
Wow.
new standard.
I
So
actually didn't know that. When did that happen?
June 18th, 2 days ago.
Oh, okay. Okay. So it's brand new.
Yes, yes,
So this allows them to completely re-examine this case.
yes. But you have to meet that standard, miscarriage of justice. But based on everything we laid out, it implicates the duty to disclose information, the failure of the government to provide certain information while public information has been released, allegedly violating potential gag orders, right? So there's a reason why the state was trying to keep things concealed, but now they're public, and it raises questions that benefit BK's rights and his appellate rights. And it raises questions about that plea specifically. And if all that's true, does it reach the level of miscarriage of justice? And I say it does, but we need more information. It allows you to anchor your basis for discovery. And maybe this allows, rather than filing a IAC PCR, maybe the Supreme Court case allows now a separate ability to seek that discovery, post-conviction discovery we're talking about. And Ann Taylor could use, rather than being, the finger pointed at her, so much that you have a separate basis now to seek that post-conviction discovery because of the Supreme Court's recent ruling on the unenforceability of the plea agreement. So I think there opens up a whole new door.
Definitely. Inside Your Bones, we're going to talk. We did bring up these vampires a little bit earlier in the video, so we're going to do that in a separate video because I found a lot of information on that. Okay, so let's go to the next slide.
Yeah. Okay, the high bar, the different standards here. So for the plea, appeal waiver, contractually binding, right? But it's void facing structural error. So if there's structural errors in it, it's void. If you don't have the proper knowledge and information, all right, you can't waive your appeal rights. If that makes sense. So your ability to appeal, when they say, oh, you can, that's all baloney. That's gone based on this new standard. So now you could attack the plea waiver, the appellate waiver. And because, just think about how it works, because the Supreme Court case was pending, right? It was pending, I believe, even when he took the plea. And maybe that could have been a basis for it. They basically threw their hat in the ring saying, you know what, I'll take this plea. I think this Hunter v. U.S. case is going to overturn the issues on appeal. Ultimately, it did. And how it could apply to BK. Now it does. So whatever's in his waiver on appeal, his appellate rights being waived, is void, in my opinion, or it could be void. I'm not saying it could be void. Forensic fraud, waived via finality, right? So it's waived because, he took a plea, but it's bypassed if it brings disrepute. So what does that mean? It's basically you can't trust the evidence. It stinks, right? You need a forensic review of that evidence. You need a forensic review, no doubt about it. So ineffective assistance of counsel claims, they're often extinguished. That's usually it's hard, right? A lot of people try it, but it's the primary grounds to smash waivers as well. So if you wanted to remove that waiver, that's the way to do it. That's another way of doing it, right? And then you have the discovery ambush, which we know by Goncalves, which we'll get into in the video as well. It's cured, but yeah, go ahead.
Do you want me to go? Okay.
No, you're fine. The judicial integrity. So today, the court finally begins to correct the course, halting the conversation of adversarial justice into a conveyor belt of unexamined pleas. And that's Justice Gorsuch's statement. So he's basically saying, pleas, the government forces a high percentage of charges into plea agreements, right, rather than trial. So the court's basically saying, you know what? We're not going to have a conveyor belt of just cases, individuals taking a plea and they basically lose all these rights and we basically forgotten. We're going to open up the door if you can meet that standard regarding the justice standard. So now here's the procedural timeline, the petition. Okay, it establishes PCR jurisdiction. That before I was making this before the Supreme Court ruling. So, but basically that PCR creates an anchor, right? I also believe the Supreme Court case creates a separate basis, right, other than IAC, to review the plea agreement, to basically void it, but also to get the discovery. So the 4907 motion compels the LIMS logs and getting discovery, Brady materials, and the like. Evidence, expert testimony on the backdating and fraud. We kind of have that with Turvey, who could also establish that, right? Or someone else, doesn't have to be him. And then, ultimately it gets vacated. So the plea gets vacated. So the judge smashes whether it's Hippler, I think you could raise a conflict of interest with Hippler.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. If this is retried, do you think it would be Judge Hippler, or would they get a new judge in to do that?
Well, that's going to be a whole other argument. I believe there is a Kipler. I believe there is a conflict, right? So, and I think at that point, if it gets into it, I'm sure Ann Taylor or any other attorney is going to expose Hippler's conflicts that are more than just what we see and have seen. I think you're going to see a lot more regarding the sealing and not allowing evidence. But if it's overturned on appeal, the appellate court could actually mandate. So they remand the case back to the state court proceeding, but the appellate court can mandate and tell Judge Hippler or any judge, whoever is accepting this case, you're going to follow this, and this. You're going to provide this defendant, Brian Kohberger, all the discovery regarding, the barcodes, the the testing with Othram Lab, whatever it is, they could actually mandate specifically what the judge has to do if they're going to retry the case and provide that information to BK's defense counsel. So I don't think many people know that, but appellate courts can do that. They could basically sniff out a bad judge and basically tell them what to do in the future if they get the
That's
case,
true.
if they get the case back.
Hey, Scully. Skull, how are you? Sorry. You know what? I actually need to change my channel because I see there's some other channels that are also called Wendy G. So yeah, I need to get a if somebody give me a new channel name because I know if you search it, it doesn't come up. Sorry. So yeah, you can give me a new name. Anybody think of something? Then we can go with it. I know it's so bad because I changed it. It was unfiltered, and then I changed the name. So now when they were looking at it, yeah,
Everyone will send in their favorite name. That'll be great.
Yeah, I'm looking at the comments. But okay.
So,
okay, that's fine.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. Hello, Bubbly, Scully, Amy. We got here.
Yeah, Amy, Scully, unlucky Wendy. Scully knows me. I don't really have a filter sometimes when I'm going on. We're just going through the thing. We won't be so serious the whole chat. Don't worry.
Yeah,
Okay.
no.
So let's go. Let's go to these.
To the video?
No. We won't ban any of you.
Oh.
Yes, Skull, we've missed you. So let's go to this where you talk about the image sources, right?
Oh, that's just that's for the photos that were made. So the images, you can see the sources of those images where they come from.
Okay, so that's next one. Do you want me to play the video?
Yeah, I think the video would be perfect. And by the way, this is not legal advice. It was just my opinion.
Skull says,
go ahead.
Big Amish dude, what a pleasant surprise.
Her to be removed because she lacks skills. What makes a great attorney is not.
Guys want me. If anyone wants me to stop, I'm going to play the video.
It's legal strategy that wins. Could you back it up?
Yeah, let me go back. Okay, go right back to the beginning.
Others beg for her to be removed.
Let's do this. I just want to get my volume up on
What
it.
makes a great attorney is not her to be removed because she lacks skills. What makes a great attorney is not just knowledge of black letter law, but when to use it. Ultimately, it's legal strategy that wins, and the ultimate goal is winning. July 2025, the world believed the Idaho 4 case was finally over. Brian Kohberger entered a surprise guilty plea and accepted 4 consecutive life sentences. The book was closed, or so we thought. Welcome to a comprehensive look at the secret legal war of 2026. We are now witnessing a structural crisis, or is this a plan? New disclosures from the expose broken plea have exposed deep internal fractures within the defense team. These fractures do not just make for a gripping headline, they provide a precise legal roadmap to completely vacate the final judgment. On one side, lead counsel Ann Taylor claiming her star expert breached ethics. On the other side, Dr. Brent Turvey acting as a forensic whistleblower. In the middle, author Christopher Whitcomb exposing the data. This is an absolute breakdown of the adversarial process, or is it a planned one? Now let's look at the evidence. The crown jewel of the prosecution's case was the K-bar knife sheath. Dr. Turvey now alleges that this evidence was legally poisoned. He claims the state's chain of custody was not linear. It was retroactively constructed. Look closely at the labels. Forensic handwriting analysis suggests that a single person filled out multiple officer signatures across 4 different handling days, using the exact same pen. If this is true, the primary DNA link was a manufactured illusion. It gets deeper. The broken plea expose reveals that unknown hair was found near a victim. It did not match Brian Koberger. The FBI lab confirmed this. This supports a multi-attacker theory, a theory that was completely sidelined before the plea. Why is this coming out now? Enter the Trojan horse strategy. Ann Taylor was completely handcuffed by a strict court gag order. She could not expose these vulnerabilities to the media.
Let me pause here. I think a lot of people don't realize this, right?
Yes, you're 100% right. People.
I can see you inside your bones. Did you oh, hi. I can see you. Okay, so a lot of people don't realize that she was not allowed to expose any of what she viewed in evidence, correct?
That's correct. There was a gag order. And I'll just throw this out there as well. I believe that Ann Taylor also has a security clearance for other clients of hers. In other words, the reason Ann Taylor was picked, not only because of her death phase experience, because you need death penalty experience to take on a case like this in Idaho, but that she holds a top security clearance in order to view information from the feds in a skiff. Separate thing, but so you have the gag order by the state court, but you also have federal information. I'm not saying she actually saw it, but if she has been privy to it, she would fall under that non-disclosure agreement as well. So if she violates anything, she would be going to jail. Under federal law, but that's not something. And because of her clients, I'm not saying that's 100% true. I'm just giving you my opinion. I think she probably holds a top secret security clearance or a security clearance at the very least in order to see federal information. That might be in parallel to this state operation. An expert breaking a private contract can. This brings us to the constitutional trap. Under the Strickland standard, a defense team must provide effective counsel. If Taylor's expert could was you a back rogue up actor, a few? Could you back up to the second the previous slide, because people I think need to know that the parties Turvey and Wickham, they don't have an obligation under the gag order even during the investigation.
Do you want to go to there? Okay, let's go from there.
It reveals that unknown hair was found near a victim. It did not match Brian Koberger. The FBI lab confirmed this. This supports a multi-attacker theory, a theory that was completely sidelined before the plea. Why is this coming out now? Enter the Trojan horse strategy. Ann Taylor was completely handcuffed by a strict court gag order. She could not expose these vulnerabilities to the media, but an independent expert breaking a private contract can. This brings us to the constitutional trap. Under the Strickland standard, a defense team must provide effective counsel. If Taylor's expert was a rogue actor, she was deficient for relying on him. If his findings were valid, she was deficient for forcing a plea instead of fighting to suppress the evidence. Either way, the defense infrastructure collapsed, or seemingly so. Now, look at the prosecution's maneuvers. In a recent interview, Mrs. Goncalves revealed a shocking truth. Right before the plea hearing, the prosecution completely ambushed the victims' families with horrific, brand new forensic details regarding specific signature marks left on her daughter. This is the core of our new argument. Under Boykin v. Alabama, a guilty plea must be entered knowingly and voluntarily. If the state dropped an 11th hour forensic bomb, the factual record was incomplete. You cannot make a voluntary life or death decision while blindfolded by your own prosecutors. The prosecution's narrative relies entirely on a lone actor. but the forensic data points to a 75% probability of multiple attackers. The defense failed to use the state's impossible timeline to counter the sudden signature marks ambush. This directly compromised the court. Judge Hippler accepted the 2025 plea and handed down consecutive life sentences based on a degraded defense presentation. Under constitutional law, a sentence based on unverified, unlitigated information violates due process. So, what is the next step? The appellate team is demanding a full evidentiary hearing. The goal is simple: force the state to hand over the raw electronic computer logs from the state forensic laboratory. The state will want to keep these files sealed, but the defense will argue that because broken plea has already exposed fragments to the public, keeping the rest hidden serves only one purpose: protecting the state from its own errors. The defense should argue that the 11th hour drop of graphic signature marks was not a routine disclosure. It was a tactical, psychological ambush. It was designed to induce panic, terrifying the defendant into signing a plea deal to avoid a gruesome, televised trial. That is the definition of coercion. Look at the timeline of this collapse. From the initial investigation in 2024 to the sudden signature ambush in May 2025 to the rushed plea in July, culminating in the 2026 whistleblower expose. The finality of this case was built on a foundation of sand. As these internal defense fractures are formalized in court, the state's legal vulnerability spikes. What would look like a settled permanent life sentence in 2025 is now highly unstable in 2026. Here is the appellate scorecard: voluntariness, critical violation, evidence integrity, high suppression grounds, counsel integrity, total deficiency. The needle is moving heavily towards a reversal. If the judge grants the hearing, a forensic audit of the lab's electronic metadata will occur. If the computer logs show that the evidence barcodes were generated after the defense demanded discovery, the state's core DNA link collapses entirely. Listen to the mother of one of the victims. Mrs. Goncalves explicitly stated, "They dropped it on us at the very last minute. It felt like an ambush." If the families were kept in the dark for 18 months, the defendant was operating under the exact same ignorance. The state is fighting back aggressively. They are pursuing misdemeanor charges to jail Dr. Turvey for these leaks and filing bar complaints against the legal defense team. They are desperate to stop the data dump. But the damage is done. The Sixth Amendment guarantees an adversarial testing of the state's case. When a lead attorney and a lead expert enter a state of total public warfare, the adversarial process has failed. That is a structural error. Whitcomb's book reveals even deeper issues: internal friction between local Moscow investigators and the FBI lab regarding these signature marks. The 11th hour ambush was a frantic attempt to patch up a broken investigative theory. Judge Hippler has a history of strictly protecting court integrity, even ordering a probe into prosecution leaks to Dateline NBC in 2025. The defense will leverage this history to show that the final fact-finding process was thoroughly compromised by state actors. The legal precedents are clear. Evidence is constitutionally material if its disclosures would have changed the defendant's decision to plead guilty. The sudden introduction of facial signature marks fits this definition perfectly. Looking ahead, if the PCR motion is granted this autumn, we will see the deposition of state lab technicians by October, a judicial ruling by December, and the potential seating of a brand new trial for the state of Idaho versus Koberger in early 2027. In conclusion, the narrative of an open and shut case is dead. The confluence of expert whistleblowing and a late-stage discovery ambush has shattered the finality of this conviction. The defense infrastructure has collapsed. whether by design or not. You be the judge. By Ann Taylor's brilliance or not, the legal leverage has shifted to the defense. In high-stakes litigation, public narrative is power. Ann Taylor defends her integrity. Turvey exposes the data. By forcing this conflict into the open, the defense has successfully bypassed the gag order and paved the way to an appeal. Let justice be done. Congratulations to Ann Taylor and her team.
Well, that was very good. What did you guys think? Yay. I also liked it.
All right.
Okay. Do you have any questions? Let me put it back on. Sorry.
Others
Was this?
beg for her to be removed.
Let me pause it. There was a piece. You still with us, Big Amish? Did I lose you? I don't know. You're there. So there was a point where you spoke about just find it here. Okay, this is where you spoke about Ann Taylor, Dr. Brent Turvey, and Christopher Whitcomb.
Right.
Do you want to go over that a little bit, and then okay, yes, no, go on, Lucy. It's fine. We'll
Sure.
chat with you now.
Yeah. Well, this is what's happening. You're having a conflict. You're having a conflict, whether it's created or not, and how it's created doesn't really matter. You have either Ann Taylor being blamed for ineffective assistance to counsel, or that Turvey has violated his ethics. Either scenario impacts the ability of the adversarial process. So you're not going, that in itself is you're creating a conflict, right, between the two parties. So internally, that's a problem. But for BK, it also, his rights need to be protected. So either Ann Taylor's saying the truth, Turvey's saying the truth, but regardless, it's a breakdown of his defense. So there lies the golden nugget as well, is it doesn't matter. It's being exposed because
do you think it was done intentionally? Do you think this was done intentionally?
I believe it was. Well, Ann Taylor had the gag order, right? So she couldn't say certain things at the time. Don't forget, there's an investigation going on. So technically, she can't. Okay, so there's an investigation regarding the gag that continues, right? And we know from Brent Turvey, he said, oh, he was also whatever. I don't know exactly what he said, but he said that Ann Taylor had contacted him. It doesn't really matter. The problem is that there is a conflict between experts and Ann. One is saying ineffective assistance to counsel. The other one's saying that there's an ethics violation because Brent Turvey went public on information that he shouldn't. Doesn't matter who's right or wrong. It's not about that. People have to get over that. They have to look at what it creates. What does that create? All right. What it creates is the ability for BK to say, wait, my rights are being violated because you guys didn't figure this out. And Wickham also adding to it. So that's it. That BK's post-conviction rights, and even before regarding the plea, if this was happening, if you had this conflict, he should have known about it. Yeah. And that data. So, and there's a lot we don't know yet. That's why it's all about getting post-conviction discovery. And that's the crumbs that we see here. It's not about who's right or wrong. It's about getting post-conviction discovery to push the ball forward. Okay? It's not about blaming anyone. And as a matter of fact, Ann Taylor would be proud to be blamed if it would vacate that plea. That's why I believe it's a plan. And this video was made prior to the Supreme Court decision, by the way. which
Yeah,
also,
you sent it to me like a few days back.
yeah. So which now creates a separate basis for, vacating a plea for the miscarriage of justice. So that's all before Ann Taylor and the defense team on how to approach it. But I believe the roadmap is there. And I don't think anyone's talked about how you need to get discovery in order to exploit these things and how you go about it. I think we laid out the groundwork for that, whether it's through ineffective assistance of counsel, habeas, but now you have the Supreme Court decision that opens up a lot more doors, because now you could challenge the plea directly using the Supreme Court as its basis for miscarriage of justice. And at the same time, you can now seek the discovery, post conviction discovery. So you need a jurisdictional basis, which would be the challenge of the plea, whether it's through the Supreme Court decision or otherwise. And followed with that is the discovery that you will seek.
So you're saying by at this point, yeah, Ann Taylor utilized Turvey to bypass Judge Hippler's gag order without facing direct contempt charges,
Yeah.
which is
Well,
what we spoke about before.
yes, that's my
Mhm.
theory. That's exactly right, because Ann Taylor couldn't say anything. But worst case, and you saw Turvey, it's a non-disclosure agreement. It's paper, basically. Okay. Now who's going to sue him for that? If what we're saying is true and accurate, do you think BK is going to complain about him violating NDA? Assume we don't even know. We've not seen the
No,
NDA.
definitely not.
No. So he wants to. It's all about getting the justice, vacating that plea. So it doesn't matter. The means justify the ends. That's what you got to understand. That's the brilliance. A lot of people try to make too much sense out of nonsense. None of this
Mhm.
makes sense. So the only way to do it is you look at, in war, you have symmetrical warfare, asymmetrical warfare. In law, the same thing. People are looking at this too symmetrically. It's asymmetrical warfare. How do you win? How do you get your client to the winning line, right? And that is, you have to vacate the plea. And we set out the basis for it and how you do it. Supreme Court, IEC, um, probably habeas corpus as well, but I don't think you have to wait to that point. I think now it is present before us, and that's what you're going to see. And because it's a Supreme Court ruling, I believe that's going to take on a whole new light. So the Supreme Court's going to be used to set the jurisdictional anchor in order to get the discovery, right? The post-conviction discovery on getting all that metadata and the barcode information and the like,
Mhm.
exposing the weaknesses that we believe are there. Because we already know there's weaknesses in what we've seen. So it's not like you don't have a good faith basis for it. And for discovery, you need a good faith basis. We already know there's problems with the evidence that they provided, the lab work, the chain of custody on the
Yeah,
items we discussed. We
it's
already
all
know
there
that.
already.
Yeah. So there's a good faith basis for that. It's not like you're making it up. It exists. And Turvey said it. Wickham said it. But I'm saying you have Turvey, who's an expert, who will say, yeah, and he was throwing Ann Taylor under the bus, seemingly. I think it's all a plan because he has to. You have to cover all your bases to win. If this doesn't work, you go to this. So ineffective assistance of counsel doesn't go, you go to the disruption of your defense team, that you didn't have your ability to put on a proper defense because of it. Either way, BK is going to, I believe, it's going to present BK with the opportunity to challenge and get the discovery that we talk, but challenge that plea and get it vacated, whether it's ineffective assistance of counsel, Supreme Court standard, through the discovery.
Okay, so the road to trial, just went back to that quickly.
Yeah.
So we go to August of 2026,
Yeah, I'm just
and
giving a time frame. Yes.
yeah, that's a time frame uh, on that. So we go to August 2026, then
Right.
October. Why would you say from August to October? Is it just more or less an estimate?
It's just an estimate because you need the PCR. You need a filing challenging the plea. So the PCR, whether it's ineffective assistance of counsel, we're now using the Supreme Court standard for challenging a plea. If you file that, you then file after that's filed. Okay, there's no hearing immediately on that. You then file a motion for post-conviction discovery, saying in order to support this PCR motion, I need to get this information, and the good faith basis for it is what Turvey said, what the labs show, the inconsistencies of the lab reports, right? The changing, the signatures, the use of the pen. How could one person sign on behalf of four individuals handling it? So it opens up the door to get that discovery. That if you get that discovery, the whole case changes because in that discovery,
Absolutely.
if people go back and see, at least what we can see, what Ann Taylor had filed regarding the federal subpoenas, again, I know people would doubt, oh, there's no federal proceedings and the like. We now know it's true. But this is what Ann Taylor's after and her defense team is exposing what was really going on, how evidence was being manipulated, or it's unreliable. Either way, you vacate the plea.
What happens when they have vacated the plea?
Well, if you vacate the plea, now it goes from the very beginning.
Mhm.
And because I'm assuming that the discovery you're going to get, if it's enough to vacate the plea, it's going to be enough to basically put the state of Idaho in a very bad position to prosecute or continue to prosecute BK. And it might just dismiss the case. And again, I don't want to jump ahead and say, I believe BK is in a witness protection program. Having said that, vacating the plea and the state not continuing with the prosecution allows him to go on with his life, and we'll never know where he is, who he is, or whether he maintains the same name. That's just my opinion, my theory.
No, no, very possible. I wanted to just show you. This was a picture I was showing you, Skull. Your profile picture, right? Who is that? Remember, we were talking about Brian's change of appearance, and so Skull has got a. Amy's making me laugh. Anyway, so Scholar's got a profile picture on his. I just want to know whose picture that is. I did know, but it slipped through my fingers for a bit. And that guy looks exactly like Brian Koberger. Really weird. So Scott, if he's awake still, because he tends to fall asleep during streams. He's done that. We've done a live stream together and then he'll fall asleep. Ask Lucy. It's happened.
Like, wake up, Scully.
If you're here, tell us who's on your somebody tell us who's on that profile picture. Because that is a blonde version of Brian Koberger. There was another one that I sent you. That guy was also somebody who worked at Washington State University, I believe.
Interesting.
So I don't know. I don't think I can.
I think you sent me a picture, I think a day or two ago. Yeah, and that looked like Brian Koberger. And he worked, I mean, there's just, I just remember there was a collage of pictures involving Brian Koberger. Now, I don't know where they came from, whether they were manipulated or not, but there was so many different images that looked different. Now, you couldn't say one is Brian Koberger versus the other. And it begs the question, why? Is it designed to protect BK because they don't want him to be, pointed out because of what he has done in an operation in the witness protection program? They need to make sure he's not identified, and why they would release maybe photos of him in the prison because he's not in prison, but it would make people who'd want to get him to use all their resources, and then they could be followed within that prison system. And we know that the Aryan Knights and the like are in those prisons. So, again, speculation, but this is just my theory on why we're seeing so many different pictures. Is
Okay,
because
let me try and see if I can bring that picture up quickly. The one I sent you. Skull's got one on here. Let's do this. Let's bring this picture up. There's so many. Okay, this is a different guy. Let's do this.
and could I say something while you're bringing that up?
Sure, sure.
Yeah,
No,
don't forget, Josh Hurwitz was at the allocution. He was a special prosecutor for Latah County. He was brought in after he left the federal system as an attorney general for the state of Idaho, which is very unusual. But Josh Hurwitz was there. Josh Hurwitz put away a lot of Aryan Knights, including gang members, including the leader, James Bailey. So
yes,
there's a lot of involvement. He was present. And Taylor also, I believe, was involved with representing an Aryan Knight member or more, I believe. Someone tell me if I'm wrong. But I just wanted to put that in context and why I bring up the Aryan Knights and being in a prison and Brian Koberger being exposed to danger. So you had sealed. Oh, by the way, the Aryan Knights, when they were prosecuted, Josh Hurwitz used sealed indictments, by the way, in order to nab them. So that use and going after the Aryan Knights is something that Josh Hurwitz did between 2017 through 2023, I believe.
That's true. Okay, let's put this guy on. So look at this guy.
It looks so much like him. You're right, but
Skelly's
it's not.
He's sleeping. Hi, Yvonne. So look at this guy. He looks so much. I don't know if I'm allowed to show his picture, but anyway, it says Sean Robertson, Web Coordinator, Washington State University.
Yes. Well,
the similarity is weird.
Yeah, striking. Yep. Too bad we can't superimpose a balaclava over his face. and ask Dylan Morrison if this looks like the perpetrator.
This is the thing. So I don't think they would try this again, because I mean, can you imagine Dylan at trial?
No. All of this falls apart. That's why you gotta ask yourself, if you were a prosecutor, prosecutors want to win their case. There's no way. How could you bring your star witness is Dylan Morrison, who doesn't remember and says she was drunk, which is not going to pass muster, right? Her corroborating witness, which you needed for the PCA, was Bethany Funk, who has her own issues. And then you have Molly McMichael placing BK.
How?
Placing BK at the outside of the 1122 King Road residence. So that's your makeup. Who is a known CI, confidential informant, for time. I mean, it reeks of so many problems. But that's your basis, okay, for placing BK there, let alone the cell tower data, which has its own problems. And again, it's all about getting discovery. The roadmap we discussed, this is all about getting discovery and exposing this case for what it really is.
That's true. Bobby said something interesting here. She said Molly was at the grub truck. Bobby, I didn't know that.
Oh, I didn't know it either. What? Do you have this on? I'm assuming it's on video if it's on the grub truck.
Yeah. Geez.
How did we?
I know Lucy said she did a video. I don't know if you want to have a look at it briefly. But geez, every day you hear something new and it's like, what? Maybe you can just paste your link in the chat, Poppy. I don't know if you can do that.
And on a side note, if Bubbly has any more pictures regarding 1119 King Road, the backyard, I'm working on another theory on those trees. Make more sense now to me. That's why I've been.
Oh, hi Jeff, how are you? No, take your time, take your time. I know if people have information because you remember we also we kind of came into this a little bit late. And so there's so much. That's why I always wondered how Christopher Wickham managed to write that book in such a short space of time. Because I mean, if you look at Lucy, Bubbly, or everybody that's been working on this case, they've pretty much been on it for about 3 years. 4 years, 4 years, 4 years. And coming into it, what did he say? 9 months?
Yeah, a few. Yeah, however it was, and how was he brought in? See, it all. You have to ask yourself, because Turvey didn't come public until Wickham came public. It's like these crumbs. You have to make sense out. You have to know these flags, what they mean. At least you try to interpreting tea leaves. I'm not saying I know for sure, but it's just my opinion.
Linda, that's true. Molly did say he had spiky blonde and red hair. That's why I said go and look at Skolmakar's profile picture of that guy. I don't know. I don't know. He's drifted off somewhere now. He must. I was actually take a screen grab of it. Let me see if I can do that. And it seems like this is more the guy that she would be describing. Let me see. I think I've got a. I can probably just.
And to Yvonne, a big shout out to Lancaster, PA, the headquarters of the Amish community. God's country.
Big Amish is just a nickname. Right?
Yeah, Big Amish is a nickname. It was also given to me because of the hard work and the way the Amish approach life and with people and society in general. So
I'm gonna try.
good way.
I'm gonna try and do this picture. So this would be the guy that Molly described, but I have to transfer it to my other phone. So something that's always interesting is that I was doing a little bit of looking into this whole thing with the phones, and you know, there's something now out again with Cy Ray and the phone. I'll have a look now, probably at that. And you know, our phones do weird things. We didn't have any access to his phone at any point. So this is the guy. I actually I want to show you. I don't know who this guy is. If somebody can tell me, I'll be so happy. Let's do this. I'm going to put him up. This is weird. You're going to see this is actually what I was trying to show you. Okay. Let's try and put him up. You're going to see this is this guy looks more like Koberger than Koberger.
It's probably the truth. Oh my God.
Where is, oh yeah, here we go. Let's just see. What did I do wrong here? I did something wrong. Let's do this. Okay.
Oh, and Bubbly, if you have a list of all the residents who lived at 1122, I mean 1119, I'm assuming you do, but if you could just confirm that, that would be great, because I'm working on something myself. Yes, Jeff H. They do have amazing quilts.
And now let's see. Now let's see if I can do that. Okay.
We could all raise a barn together. How about that? In Amish empathy and sympathy.
Okay. Now finally I can open this tease. Okay, I'm going to look at yours now. This is the picture I actually want to show you. Look at this dude.
Wow. Wait, but who?
Does anybody know who this is?
Yeah, that's.
Okay,
Did Scully just create that, or
No, that is somebody actually. That for real is somebody. So let's go to Bubbly's video. I'm gonna just send it. My phone is so full of Idaho stuff. No space for anything else. All right. Yeah. So this guy, I don't know. Scholars just he. Anyway, so this guy, look at his face. This would be the person that Molly described, right? I mean, it's wow. You went out with somebody, right? If I'm not mistaken. I don't know. Let's see. Okay, let's go to what Puppy sent me. Okay, YouTube. Okay, so let's first remove that. Let's remove this guy. And then remove that. Geez, I've opened like everything. Okay, so let's see here. Sorry. Can I open this YouTube? It's going to play an ad first. It always plays an ad first. Okay, hold on. Probably I'm going to play it now. Let's put that on. Okay, can you guys see it on the screen? Not yet. Let me share it. Put it on. Okay, can you see it, everyone? Good?
Yep, I think we're all.
Okay, we'll play a bit of this.
Here I come now, let's play hide and seek. Prepare to depart. Here I come now, let's play hide and seek. Hiding off the ground, no mountains to make a sound. Round and round and round and round, no one wants to be first found.
Howdy. Hey, y'all. Hey, everybody.
Where Americans say
I was making a video today, and I was I was basically going into all my older videos and catching little things here and there from the videos that I wanted to make that I felt like were getting connected. And then this video popped up, and I was like, oh God, I forgot about this one. And let's see, I made it when September 1st of 2023. So I asked if anybody knew if they thought they know who this was, right? Even though I think I know who they are, but I didn't name them in this when I did this. So I was just kind of looking through it, not thinking anything of it, and happened upon a couple things that I'm curious if you guys think what I think. Now, mind you, this video, when I did it, I put one of those AI voices over it, because I really didn't know if I really wanted to put this video up, to tell you the truth. I'm surprised that, I haven't got a lot of, feedback on it. Anyway, doesn't matter, because now it matters because of things that we know thus far, right? So anyway, the AI voice is super annoying, and I'm just going to let it play through a little bit here. And because I've done this video twice now, and for some reason my phone isn't taking it, so I don't know why. We're going to try it one more time. Third time's a charm, right? Here we go. I'm going to be stopping this quite a lot, so just so you know, it's going to be the worst edited video you ever did see. Well, I've got a couple of those out there.
Do you guys remember the day Brian was arrested? If so, do you remember that there were two guys from Idaho who were also arrested at 3 in the morning? They were arrested for grand theft, although everyone thought it was grand theft auto. They both went to jail, although one of them sat behind bars much longer than the other. This was due to him taking a Rule 11 plea agreement. Now, mind you, this wasn't Latah County handing out this agreement, because it was none other than Idaho County. Actually, I just looked again, and both of them took a Rule 11 plea agreement. One just caved earlier than the other. I'm confused why they take that plea when neither one had a record, and their new arrests show up as misdemeanors, but have a $20,000 bail set. That looks like a weapon from Star Wars. When I found these pics, I was looking at the Twitch stream to see if I could see anything going on before or after the tragedies. So I'm not sure if it's the 12th or the 13th, or earlier or later. With that said, in my opinion, these two guys are the same ones that were arrested on December 30th at 3 in the morning.
What?
To be honest, sometimes I actually have no idea what's going on until I open Monday.com. And boom, everything's there. Statuses, timelines, budgets, all in one clear dashboard.
Okay, so I'm going to stop it right here, because I'm going to talk a little bit here, and I'm going to be just jabbering, right? So when I was watching this, I was like, oh, first of all, I wanted to go back into the Grub truck, and I was trying to find the original, right? And for some reason, this one popped up. And now I don't know if it's the day before, if it's whatever it is, or if the Grub truck's even the freaking original Grub truck at this point, because I could have swore this is the day of the Grub truck. And maybe there's just some hours missing, since all of these hours are now coming up. Maybe this is just a part of it. Don't know. It doesn't show anything on here. What it does show is different people working, different things on the board that weren't on the other board, right? So do not know. Okay, so I'm going to keep playing it. Okay, let's stop right here, because there's something I want you guys to see in here. Something that I didn't notice until earlier today when I was looking at this video. And I had never, ever, ever noticed anybody else in this video before, except for the workers and the guy standing there. So when I noticed it today, I zoomed in like so. And I was like, what? There's somebody standing against the wall over there. I was actually looking for cars. I was looking to see what cars were out there, right? So I zoomed in to see what that reflection was back there. Apple back there. And I noticed there was someone standing there. And I'm like, holy crap, I never even realized there was somebody even standing there at all. So that's when I zoomed in even more. And that's when I found this person.
Jeez.
Now, I don't know about you, but this person looks awfully familiar to me. So, and Joe looks a little concerned. Just, he's watching what's going on. So, let's keep this going here. She's kind of looking down, got her hand up by her face, it looks like. Or maybe just her face in her coat. You know what it looks like? It looks like she's got her chin tucked into her coat and that she's looking up under her eyeballs watching him. Like she's like just kind of peeking out, just, looking at him, but hoping that he doesn't see her, kind of like type thing. Why? I have no idea. Don't know. But that's what it looks like to me. And he's looking at something. Don't know. That's going to be a weird video. The way it's going to be edited, it's going to suck. Yeah, she's actually looking at him. Joe's look at his eye. He's watching what's going on, taking it all in. So, mind you, when I first got when this was recorded, I had gotten screenshots before because I didn't know how to screen record like the video yet. I didn't know how to do any of it. And so these were just screenshots I took out of that grub video. And of course, at the time, I didn't even know any better just to get dates or anything like that. I'm just kind of, just coming into this, didn't know anything really. So this looks like she is looking at him and he is looking at her. She's got her head like, it looks like she was kind of leaning back on the thing, but now she's just kind of standing there. And he's coming out to get grub, I guess. So now, I recognize like the guy in the yellow jacket looks like the one that was down at the grub truck, and then the guy standing there on his phone, he looks like the Mexican kind of guy that was down there twice that day at the grub truck. And there they are. So they're back there talking, right? I don't know if it's them or not. It kind of looks different now, actually. I don't think that's actually them, maybe. So then we got a little chat going on over here. Alley cat. I'm going to explain like the dark, the one at the bottom, that username, and I'll explain that later on the next video, because that's basically what I was looking for. That particular thing for my video that I intended to do. See, this was never an intention to do this video right here. This is what I'm just now doing because I feel compelled to do it. So
I just made a $27 ebook in 2 minutes using AI.
That's
Watch how I did it, so you can do it too. Here I am in Designer, and the first thing you'll know.
Okay.
I'm just going to go to my photo album. Hold on. So I think the one guy is this guy. I mean, the jacket looks the same. The hat looks the same. He's wearing the nose ring.
Interesting.
And the other one is this one, I believe. He's wearing his hat, dark hat and stuff. Looks like part of his eyebrow was shaved, doesn't it? That's weird.
Wow.
So it reminds me of this one. And the other one, this one. So it looks like the same jacket, just like kind of turned inside out. Looks like the same hat. So this is the same guy right here. And this is the other one. His hair is just lighter in this picture.
Who's that guy?
So this is these guys all together with one of their friends. Know what his shirt says. Lost. Looks like his hands say lost on there. Let's see if my kitty girl wants in. The nightmare must end. Barbed wire. So kind of cool looking the way they did the barbed wire around there. So this guy's name is Dylan White. And this was taken November 20th of 2022. Then there's these. These guys were, from what I understand, they're innocent of anything. They literally were caught up in like a, what was it? Like they were really messed up, got an Uber ride to the hotel where they were staying, where I don't know. And one of them, Jason had brought food with them in the Uber, and they're not supposed to. And anyway, it was some barbecue something or other. And now maybe barbecue mac and cheese. Anyway, he spilled it onto the floor. This is the story I was told. Spilled it onto the floor or somewhere in the car. And when they got to the hotel, I guess they were the driver and him were already having a little bit of an issue, because he did mess the car up, right? And he was pretty hammered. And so when he got out, he bent over to wipe up the floor or something like that of whatever spilt on it, and his phone fell out, but he didn't know it until he got out of the car and was walking towards the hotel and realized he didn't have his phone, turned around, opened the door, and grabbed more than likely the first phone that he saw, which wasn't his phone. It was the driver's phone, the driver of the Uber. So the Uber called the cops. And of course, I guess Jay he was too messed up to even realize that he didn't have the right phone. By that time, the cops were already there and it was a mess. Now, it says that they got it for grand theft, which was stealing. It's a certain amount of money for an item. They consider it grand theft, which is, I guess, a lot of money. I don't know how much it is when it breaks down, but then on some of their records, it doesn't, some of them don't show it at all. Other ones show it disturbing the peace, but they have $20,000 bail on them when they didn't have anything else before. So it's kind of weird. And Jason posted bail not too long after he got in there, and Dylan ended up staying in there. Dylan was in there for over a month, I think. Anyway, it was kind of weird. So,
Jeez. Okay, what's it doing now? Right.
A flexible remote job? Zenfi matches you with roles that fit your skills, experience, and salary goals. Take a quick quiz and start your remote.
Sorry about that.
So Dylan wrote this because, of course, they were being. So what happened was, let me kind of go back a little bit, is that the morning or the day of Brian's arrest, these guys were arrested that morning as well on the 30th at 3 o'clock in the morning, same time as Brian. So when they would put this up for everybody to see on the news, these two guys, their mugshots came up before Brian's came up. And so everybody was like, holy shit, and they started, Googling these guys. Well, then immediately after that, Brian came up and everybody dropped that and went over to Brian. Well, I didn't. I stayed on these guys. Anyway, so this is what Dylan wrote after that. He wrote, important, please read and interact. All right, this is going to be a post that I never thought I would have to make, but because of the situation, I think it's necessary. So December 30th, I went to jail for grand theft. I was in there for about a month for things I had nothing to do with and got thrown into it either way because the system is fucked. Upon the first couple of, and we've seen that, right? So apparently it wasn't him, it was his friend that did, that messed the car up and took the phone and all that kind of stuff. Upon the first couple of days of being locked up, my name and my co-defendant's name were instantly tied into the Moscow murders and theories that our names and Facebook profiles were a part of it. It's truly a bunch of reaching from people who don't know how to do some research. If any of my friends on here have ever seen anything, including me and Jason Elkins with this case, please screenshot it or screen record it and send it my way. We are in the middle of a huge defamation of character case. And if there's any more information I didn't see that someone else did, I would truly appreciate receiving those to help with our case. We had nothing to do with it, and our personal case will show that. But the last thing we need is to be thrown into a murder case we had nothing to do with. Thank you for thank you all in advance, and any support then can come from this on our end. I have videos on YouTube screen recorded already, but I will love to have as much proof of this defamation as I possibly can. So so these guys ended up, having a whole bunch of people were bombarding their Facebook and all that kind of stuff. So meanwhile, I'm not thinking anything of it. I see these guys, I've done research on them. I hear this stuff about him, they're talking about what this is, because when people heard grand theft, the first thing they thought was grand theft. I thought I'd post a few more pictures that I have, and this is one of them. I effing miss this guy so MF much, and this was on November 20th of 2022. And I don't know what's in the background, but it looks like a gas station. Okay, and there's some weird pictures coming up. These are from their Facebook, and they're just really kind of odd, and they're talking about some weird stuff, so it's kind of weird to me. Oh, here's the snake tattoo, but that's nothing, no big deal. What is that? What the hell is that? I mean, it looks like a lobster or a prawn. What is that? It looks like it's made out of metal or something, though. It looks like a black backpack right there.
Is it a drone? Maybe it's a drone.
That's bizarre. Looks like he just got that tattoo.
You see how many times they say this?
I don't know, that thing that looked like a bug. I don't know if it's a drone. Could it possibly be a drone? I don't know. I can't see what it was, but
It's kind of cut off.
yeah. He has a
Yeah.
What the heck? What is that? Oh, is that a Halloween decoration or something?
Yeah, that's something totally different.
I have no idea what that is. It's strange, though. Weird. And then there's this very strange picture. And this
I'm a
is
pretty bitch.
Jason sending
Sorry.
this picture to Dylan White. And I just think it's very strange.
Is that what Dylan responded?
I don't.
Introducing ClickUp Super Agents, the world's first AI agents that natively collaborate with humans.
Yeah. What is that part in the orange? That's
Is that
is
Dylan?
that
I don't know, weird. And then there's these pictures, which I also think are very strange. They're in the basement somewhere, right? And they've got, which looks to be guns in between their legs.
Jeez.
And they're each grabbing it like, I don't know why, but you guess.
Okay.
I mean,
Wait. Hold on a second. Could you hold that picture? Just. Is that a red tip on a firearm? Because it
sure looks.
signifies that
That's not a shirt from that closet, is it?
Okay.
Look at
It
his
is.
jacket. It looks like Maddie's jacket. Does it say Slayer, the rock band? He's got paint on his pants.
Is that?
Huh, just a weird picture. And then this one. It's from 2021. Thought it was very strange. And the caption just weird. Looks like they're playing beer pong or something. Don't know. And then this is all the guys together. And I think the captions, they're reading, what, no invite? Jackson, get to Idaho right now. Dylan, I'll come visit for sure, my man. Like DAADA. I don't know what that's supposed to spell. Diad. Jackson, please do. Dylan, let me get some money saved. Dylan, you in Idaho right now? Yes. Are you, sir? Yes, sir. Dylan went, oh, or Phoenix. Dylan went, oh yeah. And another guy says, ah, snap, I want in. So I'm not sure what any of that means. It's just from that picture. It's just what was running. And mind you, these things, let me see if I can show you here. These things were taken, details. January 3rd of 2023 is when I screenshot these. So you know how long ago it was, right? Okay. And some of these from Dylan. Favorite hobby is calling people out enough for them to delete their whole post. And then another one, I hate transphobic and homophobic people. I hate how they're on Instagram. Every comment section of any post relevant to a member of the LGBTQ is so gross to read. It makes me so sad. So I don't know if he was gay or not. He definitely looked like him and Jason had something. I mean, I don't know. Just some of their posts seemed really intimate, put it that way. I mean, I don't know one way or the other. Have no clue. It doesn't matter to me if they are. I'm just, observing things here. Okay, there's just a few of the photos that I got. I think they're both looking in the same direction at something. She's kind of looking down.
Is that Molly there? This one?
I don't.
Looks like she's
I know
looking at
someone-
him,
Yeah.
kind of, down up under her eyes. She's watching him walk in right here, and he's watching her. Now he's looking at her, and she's looking at him. So it looks like a totally different day. They're wearing different stuff. It's still cold outside because they're wearing that clothing. So I don't know if it was earlier that day. I mean, it can be later because they closed, right? But remember, if times are off, who knows what this is? You know what I mean? She watched her totally walk up. I don't know. This just kind of freaks me out. This really just freaks me out. And then there's these things, and that's not them back there anymore.
Oh yeah. It is.
So I don't know. That kind of looks like Jack Showalter. That's weird. And I don't know what the different time is on here. Corona. Oh, Joe failing. I don't know what that means either. Unless Joe's getting high, you know, because towards the end of the grub truck thing that we all saw, right? Those guys were getting wasted. And I'm talking wasted, like bad. So I already showed you these guys right here. So anywho, okay. Well, that's that. And I guess I just didn't really know what to do with this stuff. You know, once I saw that video, I just thought, well, shoot, you know, that's the case. I mean, who is that and what's going on? Do they know each other? I have no idea. Don't know. Apparently these guys were, you know, nothing happened. Oh, I'm going to show you a mugshot. That's right. I'll take a cucumber. Hold on. There's some of their friends. Yeah, also kind of very creepy.
Look at that.
It is creepy.
Looks like Halloween stuff, but it's in January. Who knew? This is their comments. Dang hoodlums, nice gloves though.
One looked
You
like
know
a
the difference from
female.
right and wrong. Be you and do right, and do right. Well, that's interesting. So see, some of these things I haven't read since I did. I'm finding all sorts of stuff, man. Okay, so this was when they were arrested in Ada County. So same place Brian was for a while, and they were arrested on 12:30 at almost 3 a.m. 2:52. And it was for grand theft, but their charges actually, well, some of them don't say charges at all. But in their I-court, it says disturbing the peace, but there's a bail set for 20 grand. So your guess is as good as mine. I don't know. One was at 252 and one was at 244. But it wasn't auto. It wasn't grand theft auto. It was grand theft. So two different things. I mean, they're going to say auto if it's auto, right? So there's that. And yeah, don't know. I just thought it was weird when I saw her in the background. And I if you guys think it's the same person I think it is, I'm just stumped right now. I don't even know what the hell's going on. I have no idea. But it was worthy of making a video for, because I'm doing reviews of all my videos. Well, the ones, not all of them, but just certain ones. And I wasn't going to do one on this one until I saw that. And then I was like, okay, well, that's it. All right. Anywho, I think I'm done now with this one, hopefully, because it's giving me a little bit of a headache. So hold on. Well, here's one of the I-court things, but I don't know which one it's on. I think so it's grand theft and battery. So I'm not sure who that was on. And let me look at my thing here, details. This one was redone because I just actually put it over to this album, so that's why it says that. That's why. But this one was all done on the that last date I just showed you. I'd have to go back to that album to show it, but I actually moved this one to find it easier, like in my CapCut, because you have to go back through the albums. But if I load it into like the first album that pops up on my CapCut, it makes things easier, but it changes the date. So that's why that's today's date. So, yeah. Well, I'm out. Yeah.
Thanks, Bubbly. Thank you. I didn't. Okay, I'm back here. Okay, can I see? So, what happened? What happened with those two? I was trying to actually have a look. So they were at the grab truck.
Yeah, that's my understanding. Let's see what Bubbly says. I don't know their whole
That's the one that
background.
says he's a pretty bitch.
Yeah, that's such a yeah.
That's such a weird thing to say. Hard to come and unleashed. Yeah, that is a very strange thing to say. But that whole video around the grab truck, you can see a lot of them are looking at each other and signaling to one another.
Yeah, something's going on, between them. And who was supposed to be was Molly supposed to be in this video, or am I wrong? I didn't see
Yeah,
that.
that's what I wanted to also ask. Because somebody mentioned that Molly was at the grab truck.
Yeah, I remember seeing that Bubbly, but I don't know if this video had it. But I would like to
I
see
don't know if
that.
this one had it. I actually want to go and look at it and see if we can
Find her.
look at it. I've looked at it a lot of times. Oh, okay. Bubbly says she's there in the shadows.
Is
Wouldn't be
she?
surprised.
Oh, okay. Is she
Okay.
the
Is she
one
the one?
against the wall?
Mhm.
Building? Oh, get up against the wall. Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay.
So my question is, what was she doing there up against the wall? It's just so weird. Everybody's everywhere.
And what time was it? I don't know. Does Bubbly know now what time time frame was that she was there, or at least thinks she was there, if that's her?
Yeah, I don't know I don't know the exact
Or is
time
that a
that she was
different
there.
day? That's not the. Is that video the day?
I think it's the same night, just before they left to go home, I believe. Correct me.
I would like to know that. Our buggy. Let's see.
Oh, okay. So we don't have a time stamp on that video. How convenient.
Oh, there's no. So they never provided. Okay.
Mm-mm.
It's not that Bubbly doesn't have it. It's the video itself did not have
No,
a
the
timestamp.
video doesn't
Okay.
have it.
Okay. Wow. That's par for the course, right? you gotta figure things out.
Ooh, jeez. So many weird things. Weird things going on that night. But yet we were told everybody was sleeping.
Yeah. Yeah, that grub truck always. Oh, I don't know. I remember watching one segment of and I forgot what time it was, but it was during the time right before Maddie and Kaylee get there, or right after, where the grub truck operator says, "People have fallen." Just says it out in the open, and I think he says it twice, which makes no. He's serving food, so that statement, "People have fallen," fallen is a word also to say someone's been taken care of, right? Been eliminated. And I don't know what the background of that operator is. I really don't know. I should probably look into it. But for that statement to be made, and who was he saying it to? Because
Wow. I didn't know they said that, Lucy, as well.
Bro said, "Wake up, Dad." Wait, who said that? Oh, bro said. All right. Yeah, that grub truck probably deserves more, at least from my end.
A lot,
Yeah.
because there was some guy who actually took a photo of the girls, if I'm correct.
Yeah, I remember someone saying that he was behind them when they were ordering on the side. I remember that now. At least it looked like he was taking a picture. Maybe he wasn't, but yeah,
Hmm.
that's what it looked like. I don't know if someone did a video on it. Bubbly knows more, or anybody.
She might know, because I recall that Kaylee took an image. Like it looked like she was taking a selfie, but it could have been that she was taking an image of the guy behind her.
Yeah, you're right. Now I remember. Yeah, I remember that. That's exactly what it looked like.
Hmm.
That was,
So the question is then, because sometimes, and I think people could relate to this, if you suspect that you're in danger, you might take an image to protect yourself of your surroundings. So it could be she was doing that.
yep, you're 100% right. What is let's see, chat. I think one is a Eco Shield guy. What is Eco
Mhm.
Shield? I don't know what Eco Shield is, but about five of them. Let's see.
No, when I initially looked at that video, it seems like Katie looks very uncomfortable. You know, almost like sometimes she's laughing and smiling, but
Yeah,
there's something where she, there's just a moment where she looks very uncomfortable in. But we can look into that a bit more.
yeah. There was an awareness. She was like being aware of certain. That's in a generic way of saying, yeah, she was starting to get worried about something. But yeah, you could see it throughout. It changes when she gets there, and I forget. Does that change after, like, those two? I don't know if they're from Sigma Chi. They have basketball jerseys on. Is it
Mhm.
after those two individuals come into the picture? I forgot. I have to look back on it, but something does happen.
Yeah, it's certainly worth another look. That could have been why she was on her phone, where, sometimes if you're trying to avoid people, you might look at your phone as well.
Yeah, gives you a
And
way. Yeah,
yeah, just kind of to avoid any contact with them.
it's a good point. Especially eye contact. You're busy. You don't want to. Maybe someone was saying things as well, and she was just trying to present herself as being preoccupied. Maybe certain words were being said to her. Hmm.
Yeah, could be. I don't know. There was some guy I heard about, probably might know about this. His name was Joe. I heard about a guy, Joe, at the Grub Truck. Do you know anything
Oh,
about him?
Joe
Um,
Vito, the big guy
I think he was a big guy.
who's next to, because I think Maddie goes in between him, and some other guy. I think his name is Ian, and then there was a blonde girl there. I think.
Hmm.
Yeah, Joe Vito. Okay. Yeah, that's who it
Yeah, I
is.
didn't know his surname,
Yeah,
but
Vidot. Yeah, that he
yeah,
was.
yes.
I remember watching a video. He posted something after the events in which he was claiming they were, basically or so intoxicated, but he was also giving an explanation why, an explanation for his own conduct. Because I think people were trying to say he was involved or not. I don't remember seeing the whole thing, but he had his own posting, like I don't know if it was on Facebook or Instagram, but I remember watching a
Hmm.
video. He gave his own explanation of what he was doing, why he didn't have anything to do with it. But yeah, he's an interesting person right then and there, because
Yeah.
and he had his back mostly at some point. Oh yeah, because That's right. Jack Show. I think it's Jack Showalter. When the girls are by the truck, he's right by them, and he converses with them. So Joe Vito and Showalter, if I'm mistaken, please let me know in the chat. But they have some brief words, and they laugh or look at their phones or something like that.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah, definitely worth looking into that.
Because I think Joe Vito says he never met or spoke to Showalter. Again, I'm just going by what I kind of remember.
Yeah, they all lie so much. It's kind of hard to keep track with all the stories that we hear because so many suspicious people.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, Critic Rick. Yes, there's a lot of ritual things. When you say so many jacks, there's so many things that so many jacks, so many hunters, so many number ones, so many number threes, so many markers. It's like it was pre-planned.
Yeah, to create confusion, because when you say Jack, which Jack? Yeah, I mean, it kind of raises that question. It should be addressed. How so many people with similar names involved, even tangentially around, not that they were involved in any crime, but just involved in this circle.
Names, patterns.
Yeah.
Yes. Still going to go into that. I've got a whole thing here that I'm busy working on with names and patterns. I still believe there is some ritualistic element to this. This doesn't take away from any of the legal analysis of the case at all. But
yeah,
it just seems like we're being shown a story sometimes. Yep.
That's
like Lucy
usually,
says, it's a script.
Yeah, it's all theater. It is. Unfortunately, it is.
Well, if there's a parallel investigation, it could very well be, as you said, we talked initially about the parallel investigation, then, I mean, and if it's all theater, it doesn't mean that there are no victims.
No, that's true. I'm saying they project theater to us, the public. That's what I'm saying. It's not that nothing didn't happen. Absolutely not. I'm just saying theater. They want to present a certain narrative that fits whatever they want to show us. But who's behind the scenes and pulling the strings is a whole different thing. And you mentioned the parallel proceedings. Just want to let everyone know again. There's a parallel proceeding that could involve an investigation or an indictment, a sealed indictment. Two different things. One involves subpoenas. That would be the investigation. If it's a sealed indictment, that person then and that federal sovereign would owe a duty much different. You would have a probable cause standard then going forward.
True.
When you have an indictment. So from an indictment, let's say, if there was let's say there was an indictment, just to give an example with BK. So you had the state issuing charges. If the feds issued charges against BK, if that's known, they would also be considered, because if there is an indictment, he's charged. They would owe a probable cause standard at that point going forward. So any warrant that's issued, they would have to issue warrants, right? Even if it's being sealed, but they would have a different standard to apply. And they would be exposed, because then his rights, his Fourth Amendment rights and the like would apply, as opposed to when you just issue a subpoena, it's just a reasonable standard basis, basically good cause. Is it reasonable to seek this information regarding this person? As long as you have a crime, you don't need the person for a subpoena, you just need the crime. So a federal crime would have to be used for getting issuing subpoenas. So it could be extortion, it could be murder. Well, murder technically usually doesn't doesn't fall in federal jurisdiction unless you cross federal lines and they're going to use interstate commerce, or murder involves a federal agent or asset. Okay, but you could also have prescription medications. There could be many different bases for a federal jurisdiction in the case, just raising some, whether it's cartels, whether it's hate crimes, okay, on college campuses involving gangs. So the present that they're investigating, it could be fraud, healthcare fraud, because during the time of the pandemic, there was healthcare fraud involving pandemic payments. If you remember that in our country, a lot of that was being exposed. So there's a lot of basis for it. But again, if a grand jury is issuing a subpoena for somebody, not somebody, but specific information, right? You need a crime. And then they could ask, for example, they could ask for, all the Amazon information involving a sheath that was was purchased in this area in the past 8 months. Also, they could have issued a subpoena with a crime and naming individuals. That could have happened as well. We don't know. It could be like abroad. It could be like numerous names on it.
It's true. So just quickly I don't want to interrupt you, sorry. Roxy asked, do I know the Edison Buerta case here in South Africa? And yes, I actually know her. She survived. Now, just to quickly go off topic, you guys can go and have a look at it. Now, these two guys openly told people that they were Satanists, right? And they were using ritual abuse. So this happened here in South Africa. And yes, I do, because I used to work at the courts at the time that the case happened. So I'm not in contact with her right now. But anyway, so what happened was during this whole investigation, they found out that the guy Franz was he was kind of obsessed with ritual sacrifice, and that he wanted to mutilate, I hope I'm not saying anything wrong on YouTube, a woman's reproductive organs. So basically these guys didn't plan this whole SA. They were actually hunting for a woman to destroy her as an offering. They were very open about this. And I mean, they basically disemboweled her. She's lucky she survived. It was really, really bad.
She survived after
She did. Yeah, she did.
Living is
They
worse.
actually, they sliced her throat 17 times, and it was bad. And they left her on the side of the road. So it was really, really bad.
There's some higher intervention for her to live then. That's
I don't know how she survived, but yeah, she did. I think now she does a lot of motivational speaking and that, but I'm just saying that happens even with real victims.
so this is a lot more prevalent than we think. At least to me, I never.
Yeah, it's not. That's what I'm saying. It's not only in Idaho. Here, in South Africa, it's huge as well. So we've got an area up here, 35-40 minutes, Midrand. It's like the hub of ritual abuse.
Oh my!
Yeah, they've got a whole task force that looks into it. Now, with Allison, this happened in Port Elizabeth. so cut away from where I am. But yeah, also same thing. They grabbed her using a knife, and this I think this was long ago, so don't quote me, but this happened kind of right close by her house, and yeah, they got into a car, drove her away. And this is what I say with this case as well. I don't believe that any of it happened inside the house.
So did they just target her
Yeah,
out of the blue? So she
yeah.
nothing
No,
to
I
do with.
think I think they must have been waiting for her.
So they singled her out just as predator
Mm,
and prey to carry out
yes,
this satanic. Oh my God! I just
yes.
keep thinking about that. That there's people like that in the world, but there are, and worse. Mm. Say, and what happened to the perpetrators?
As far as I know, they got life sentences, both of them. But
No,
here's where you might find this interesting. There was, at the time that this happened, a major parallel investigation that ran alongside. So I'm going somewhere with this. So there was a major parallel investigation that ran alongside the main local police investigation. So while these local detectives were in PE and they were gathering forensics, then the specialized national unit uh, was brought in to investigate these guys' ties to all these underground networks. And yeah, we didn't know about it at the time, but it was. So if you want to go and look at the chat, Alison Buerta, you can go type in, go search. There was, at the time that this happened, there was a major parallel investigation involved.
wow.
But you might find that interesting.
Yeah, I'll look into it as well. I find it's
Mm.
very.
It was, I'll actually just remind me, I'll send you what I have on it. It was a bad case at the time, really bad. So, yeah. So, when I say ritual, I don't say that it takes anything away from a parallel investigation. Whenever you see a ritual,
Right.
then you know that there's more than likely a parallel investigation.
Yes.
And the public won't know about it because they're not going to tell you that they're running it.
That is exactly right. Because they're not the ones, they're not doing the charging. They're not indicting anyone. Although in secret, just so you get an understanding, in secret they could have a sealed indictment. And hear me out. So if the state prosecution fails to convict this individual, the feds can then unseal it, flip it, and charge the person and convict them through what they have, or at least put them on trial and charge them. You see how it works? It's like a default mechanism. One is for investigation, another one is for actually charging and convicting a person if they successfully are able to overcome state
Yeah.
charges for whatever reason.
Yeah. So they were in that case. I'm glad Roxy asked it. That they were after bigger fish.
Yeah. Yes. That's
Yeah.
that makes perfect sense. So wow. And then it makes you think, because anytime, okay, this is a local issue, but now since you brought up the feds in your area, well, why wouldn't they have a national, international kind of association? Loosely, I'm just saying, like minds think alike. I'm sure they might have their tentacles throughout at least that group. They could have all different identifying markers, kind of like a gang, but in this case, it's a satanic ritual organization or gang, however you want to define it. And why wouldn't it be?
And they do communicate. You talk about the actual gang themselves.
Well, I use that just as a term because I use
Yeah,
gangs and
just
Aryan Knights, but
so,
it's no
so
different.
so anybody that's part of this, they're not confined to one specific area or one
Right.
specific country.
Right.
Meaning, how anybody that's involved in a network like this, they're able to communicate using signs, signals, because remember, not everybody all over the world speaks the same language. So
Right.
the way they recognize each other and the way they carry out ritual murder is by using signs, signals.
Great point. Great point. Yes.
Because here we don't speak English so sometimes I feel, because English is not the language we always speak
Right.
in South Africa. So let's say somebody is from an Afrikaans family and they would understand English, but their comprehension of it isn't good. But they do know the signs, they know the rituals, they know numbers. So there's often numbers, we'll go deeper into that as well in future videos, but they know numbers, so they recognize each other. So they're able to carry out an operation. If somebody wants to perform a binding spell on somebody in a different country or order any kind of ritual murder on somebody that's living in a different location, it's very easy to do that.
Yeah.
Because they have certain codes that they communicate. And when you look at this case, the numbers of the house, the date that it happened, yeah, there's so many things. It'll take like a whole video and it's all on its own.
Yeah. No, but you bring up an excellent point that they don't have to be mutually exclusive. As a matter of fact, they're usually not. Right. So you have whether ritualistic issues, the unalivings occurring, whether cartel, all of this could be combined, or parts of it. But clearly, feds would be involved. So parallel proceedings makes perfect sense in such a scenario.
So I think we can do a deeper dive into how parallel proceedings, because we're not finished talking about that. Big Amish has got a lot that he's still working on with that, and yeah, I think that can be another video that we do.
Yeah.
How it ties in, because it does tie in with national security here in this country. I think there was a woman, I forget her name now, but she left. She kind of blew the whistle on the whole operation, how they were using people's cell phones and their private information without having any permission to do that.
Yeah. And part of the argument is that if you're using like a social application, that you have given that company and third parties access to that information. It's no longer private, even though you might think it's private. And so they try and get it in evidence, or they seek it under business records of, let's say, Google and the like. So there's ways around it. And then ultimately, yes, the ultimate power is national security.
Yeah.
And they force you into these situations, sometimes legally and sometimes illegally. When we finally find out about them, sometimes they'll coerce, at least in our opinion, it might look coercion. But to the government, they just want that information. And
Yeah.
say it's in the best interest for national security. That's what they want to get. And they strong arm different companies to change their policies. So if they wouldn't give it in the beginning, they put enough pressure on them in different ways that they then succumb. They provide exactly what they want, and it becomes lawful. And they could actually go to Congress and pass a law that we would not know the basis for it, but for the government, that gives them a protection to the company that's going to provide information and also for the government. So they use legislation also in a clandestine manner to get information that might otherwise require search warrants.
Yeah, same thing
Yeah.
that we see here.
Now, does your is the Afrikaner language, is that Germanic? Is that what it's based on?
I think it's more like from the Netherlands.
Oh, okay. So Dutch. Okay.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yes. So a lot of people here will speak Afrikaans. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. I didn't know that. I didn't know exactly.
Yeah, most of them. It depends what area you stay in. Yeah, it depends what area you stay in. Don't ask me to speak it. I'm not very good at it.
Well, I won't hold you to it yet.
The,
But
the first the first thing you learn in any language is I can speak it very well when you want to say a lot of swear words. Because I will say this off topic. There is no language in the entire world where somebody can swear somebody as well as they can in Afrikaans.
Swear words are always the first in any language. You're right.
That
Well, you
I'm telling you, and they're so creative. So there's a lot of crime in Cape Town, okay, and oh, pleasure, Roxy. Sorry if I'm not ignoring the chat. I'm watching you guys, but I'm also half blind. So, um, so the first word you hear them, and it's funny because some of the people here get very creative. I mean, like really, really creative. When, especially in Afrikaans language. You guys must go and look on TikTok or whatever, Afrikaners, yeah, see what they're saying. I promise you don't even have to understand what they're saying. It's kind of like a universal language as we're talking about that. If you don't understand each other's language, so like you guys are in America, I'm here. I promise you, if I drive past you in the streets and I show you the middle finger, you can understand me. It's ritualistic. Right?
Yeah, no doubt about it. It is. We never thought about it that way. There's your secret code that many people know.
There's your code. Like I promise you, anybody all over the world, if you show them that, they're gonna know what you're saying.
Yeah, you're right.
So,
See?
yeah.
That's a simple way of showing how a symbol or a code in a very works universally.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's the when you say ritual, it's not always a bad thing. A ritual can just be something that's people understand or use to communicate with each other. But in this case, we're talking about specific codes and signs.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be any negative connotation to it. But since we're talking about crimes, we're gonna stay. The good stuff gets whitewashed.
There's a lot of that here. I think people don't think because of this country science that there is national security, but there is. Roxy, did you go and have a look? Can you speak it?
Yeah, let's hear. Yeah, that would be fun if we could
If
hear it.
anybody can, you can come up, say something.
Would love to hear.
I sound weird when I speak it. my husband will speak it, so he'll speak Afrikaans to our daughter, and I'll speak English to her.
Well, that's good. You know, look, learning languages, I think, is great. I don't care what it is. The more you learn, the better off you are. That's my theory.
I use it when you mocking somebody. Probably, what did she say? Okay, the police station in Moscow. Yeah, she's saying, "Wow." It's kind of nice how Americans speak, because they can speak in a very clear tone, which is a lot different. Right, Roxy? It is. Anything is ritual, but yeah, it's not always a bad thing.
Morning to
And it
you,
was like a
sister.
ritual trigger. So yeah, exactly. You're right. What was she saying? The old police command station. Oh, okay. She said it's underground. That is also something we have here in Cape Town. There's a lot of underground tunnels that are used.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
So wait, how far away? The command station. So I don't, old police command station. Where was
Yes.
that? Where was that in conjunction to the
She's saying
1122?
about a parking lot that belongs to Moscow. An axe throwing company was underground.
What?
Wow. Okay.
Does she have a video on this too? But the tunnels, I find the tunnel issue to connect, again, in my mind, it's red flag would be tunnels, human trafficking kind of combination, or
Mm-hmm.
other type of vices. Doesn't have, but that's what it triggers in my mind. Um, and yeah, I would love to know more about any tunnels in Moscow, in that area.
Yeah, anybody. I don't know, Big Amish, do you have a mail on your channel? I'm not sure if you do.
Yeah, I have my Gmail account on there.
Okay, so if you guys want to send anything to Big Amish, then he's got a Gmail. I've also got one on mine. And then I think you are on Discord as well, on
Yes.
Outcast Discord. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm on Discord.
Yeah, so you can also send it there.
That would be great. Anybody?
But yeah, anyway, thank you so much, Big Amish. I really enjoyed that video.
What?
I guess we're going to see a lot of things happening now in the next few weeks and months.
Yes. Yeah, I think
I'm
probably
really,
one of the things that fell was the Supreme Court case. So be rest assured, something is going to happen. It's not going to be
Mhm.
September. It's going to happen fairly quickly, in my opinion. It's going to happen within the next few weeks, maybe after the 4th of July or before. But it's something's going to happen, and it makes more and more sense now. So
Wow.
thank you for everything, Wendy. You've been great. The chat's been great.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. I appreciate all of you. So we'll probably, well, I'll schedule the live. We just kind of did it last minute now because we originally said Thursday and then we said Friday. So what I'll do when we go live again, I'll schedule it before the time. So and then I'll post it under the post because yeah, Lucy's laughing. Are you laughing at me again? Lucy, okay, you're laughing at me again. I don't know if she's laughing at me again. It was wild. I'm like, oh, I'm running late. Let me run back so I can send Big Amish the link. Sorry for making you wait.
No, not at
But
all. This was great.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, all of you. I appreciate all of you that have been watching. And yeah, I'll be back.
Yes. Thank you all. Bye bye.
Bye bye.